When, after a grueling examination, Wolfgang was elected a member of the famous Bologna Philharmonic Society, the youngest member ever. It was a triumph of both son and father. The women of the family could only applaud from far away. For some time, they had been relegated to holding the fort in Salzburg. As the years went by, interest in Mozart as a Wunderkind waned, for the simple reason that the Wunder had developed just as the Kind was slowly disappearing. There was no point in further peregrinations. It was time to settle down and accept the different rules of adult life. The only solution available to Leopold was the generous offer of the Archbishop of Salzburg to reinstate him as assistant Kapellmeister and to find employment for the young genius on the side. Wolfgang had traveled and tasted celebrity, the most dangerous of all addictions. He had charmed crowned heads and been flattered by them. Could he now subject himself to the small-town rigors of Salzburg, to the family reunion, a return to a childhood he had never really savored? Well, tell us, O psychologists. Mozart provided the answer. When I play here, I have the feeling that it's not people, but the wooden chairs beneath them that are listening. Society here is so provincial. How can I be asked to live in a town without an opera house? Another voyage was inevitable to counter claustrophobia. Leopold was the first to realize it. The Archbishop read Leopold's mind, however, and threatened to give him the sack if he took another sabbatical. There was nothing for it but to reverse the rule. Leopold stayed in Salzburg with daughter Nannerl, while Frau Mozart chaperoned her son on the road. The farewells were long and earnest. Mozart and his mother were heaped with good advice and letters of introduction. The first two stops were Augsburg and Mannheim. In Mannheim, Mozart's ears and eyes were open to entirely new musical trends, marking the end of the Baroque period, the birth of the sonata form with its 4 movements, the death of the ground bass. Strong dynamics were not only permitted, but actually encouraged. And here Mozart heard the clarinet for the first time. And what a rich discovery that would prove to be. This movement was from the so-called Paris Symphony. Paris was to be Mozart's final destination, but although eager for new successes, Mozart was strangely unwilling to leave Mannheim. Now, could all this be due to the hypnotic influence of the clarinet? No, he fell in love. Aloysia Weber was her name, a soprano with a splendid voice and looks to match, and of an age fit to be loved by a prodigy. She was 15 years old. Her father was a man of modest means, but her mother was, despite this obvious handicap, a determined and ambitious matchmaker. Mozart was rapturously received. There were 3 other daughters yet to marry, and these things had to be done tidily, in order. Aloysia would be the first to go. After that, there would be time for the 14-year-old, the 13-year-old, and all that. Mozart was inflamed by the mother's enthusiasm. He could steer Aloysia to great notoriety, teach her, open the artistic pinnacles of Italy to her. And perhaps a function could be found for the father of modest means, some modest job as a mentor, as befitted the means. N'est-ce pas, papa? Wrote Wolfgang, seeking encouragement from Leopold. N'est-ce pas, papa? Reiterated Leopold. For once the echo was far louder than the original phrase. Have you lost your mind? And what about your career? Have you forgotten the purpose of your trip? Leopold was desperate. He felt so far away from all that was going on, and it was not his role. It had never happened before. And yet now, thanks to that confounded archbishop,